Welcome back to the second installment of the review of Netflix Sandman. If you missed the first installment, please click on the link above. Without further ado, let us begin. Episode 2, Imperfect Hosts. Morpheus surveys the damage done to his realm. Lucian and Morpheus discuss what has happened during his absence. Lucian states the library disappeared, and Morpheus acknowledges that she stayed while others have gone. Lucian then says she knew he'd return. That's a strange thing to say since her last words to him before Morpheus departed was, "Will you be back?" If she was so sure he would return, then why did she frame the question the way she did in the first place? Morpheus picks up a shard of broken glass, and attempts to repair his palace with his current strength only to fail. Lucian, as his nanny, tells him he needs to rest before he can rebuild the realm. Next, we see an older Ethel Cripps in Buffalo, New York. She is in her flat, wheeling and dealing precious items on the phone. Her flat is heavily secured with CCTV and digital locks when we see the Corinthian paying her a visit. He reminds her of Morpheus being imprisoned by Roderick Burgess, and he is here to warn her that he is now free. She dismisses his concerns, and states she has done no wrong to him. The Corinthian disagrees with her assessment, informing her that the items she took from Roderick Burgess belonged to Morpheus. Back in the dreaming, Morpheus contemplates with Lucian what needs to be done in order to find his items. He states he must consult the three fates, the Hecate, in order to find them. Lucian advises against it as the answers are given in riddles. She then suggests an alternative of consulting one of his siblings. Morpheus states they are too busy dealing with their own business, and he must deal with his issues on his own. Lucian says summoning the fates has a high price to pay, and Morpheus states he is currently too weak to call upon them. He asks if there is anything still remaining in the dreaming that he created. Gregory the gargoyle flies by, and the House of Secrets and the House of Mystery are off in the distance. We are introduced to Cain and Abel, when Morpheus and Lucian approaches. After an exchange of pleasantries, Morpheus states he must take something back which he has gifted to them. He says he must uncreate Gregory to be reabsorbed into him, much to the dismay of Cain and Abel. After the deed is done, Cain kills Abel with a pitchfork. Back in Ethel Cripps's flat, she and the Corinthian discuss what can be done about Morpheus. The Corinthian wants Ethel to use Morpheus's tools against him to kill him once and for all. Ethel tells him those items are no longer in her possession. The Corinthian then inquires about her son John, and perhaps he may know where they are. With her son being the blood of Roderick Burgess, he asks her to contemplate what Morpheus might do to him. Standing at the end of a walkway with water surrounding them, Morpheus and Lucian discuss meeting the fates. Morpheus reiterates that he must offer something to the fates for them to come, and he drops the sand that was Gregory into the dark water. Looking at the water, he sees his reflection looking back at him. As he puts his hand toward the water, the reflection reaches out and pulls him in. In the water, he realizes the dreams and nightmares no longer recognize him as their master, and through these dreams, he finds the offerings for the Hecate. He takes a crossroad from a Cambodian village. He takes the memories of a hanged man. He takes a serpent, and an egg. Upon obtaining these offerings, he summons the three fates. The Hecate are three women, old, middle-aged, and young. They greet him with a bit of animosity over a past altercation. Nevertheless, they are appreciative of the offerings, and the serpent slithers up a fate's arm and is devoured. They state he may ask 3 questions, but will only receive 1 answer for each, and Morpheus acknowledges. He asks about his pouch of sand, and its whereabouts. He is told it was sold in London, by a magic user named Joanna Constantine. He then asks about his helm and its whereabouts. He is told it was traded to a demon, in exchange for a protection amulet. He asks about his ruby and its whereabouts. He is told it was passed down from a mother to a son. And the Hecate vanish. Lucian then steps up, and finds the egg on the ground, and says he forgot to give it to the fates. Morpheus tells her it was not meant for them. Back in Ethel's flat, she tells the Corinthian she sold the helm and pouch to start her life in America. The Corinthian asks about the ruby, and she tells him that yes, it could create dreams and nightmares, and that she gave it to her son John, and the ruby consumed him. He asks where the ruby is currently, and she says she doesn't know, and doesn't want to know. The Corinthian knows she is lying, and he removes his sunglasses, and his dagger. He approaches her without his sunglasses, telling her that he'll find out, as her eyes will tell him everything. She holds the protection amulet in front of him, and the Corinthian disintegrates. Let me stop it here for a moment. As I stated in the previous episode, the Corinthian is not involved in this story arc at all. Instead of having Ethel proactively looking for her son, they have the Corinthian seeking out potential enemies of Morpheus. Although it works in getting to the same ending, it is a cheap way of expositing what happened during the time she ran away. Basically, telling instead of showing. Also, the interaction of the Corinthian and Ethel enables the showrunners to display another girl boss moment against a white male. As the show is overtly woke, there is no reason to be subtle. Look at the smugness and indignation on Ethel's face after she dispatches the evil white man. Back in the House of Secrets, Abel comes back to life, and shows the egg to Cain, which soon hatches into a baby gargoyle. They banter about what they should name it, and Cain kills Abel again. Ethel Cripps visits her son, John D. We can see the hospital is very secure, and very corporate looking. After some brief pleasantries exchanged, she tells him they have to discuss the ruby. Let me stop it here for a moment. What is this place? Is it a hospital? A prison? What do you think? It is hard to tell. The lobby looks corporate. No security checks or anything. Ethel is greeted by a concierge-type person that cordially greets her. This place looks more privately owned than public. John's room looks like a locked cell, but is well appointed and very clean. Sterile clean. The reason why I bring all of this up is because this place is supposed to be Arkham Asylum. Yes. That Arkham Asylum. The place that houses the criminally insane, with the likes of the Joker, Scarecrow, Two-Face, etc. Of course, due to copyright issues, they cannot use the name, but this place resembles nothing like Arkham Asylum. There is no gloom or filth, and most of all, there is no craziness or chaos even remotely conveyed in this entire location. It is so sterile and bland. The location gives us no character when it should add so much without a single line of dialogue spoken. Also, John D took on the moniker of Dr. Destiny, another delisted DC character that can't be mentioned for copyright reasons, and John looks more like a zombie than human. So, the visceral imagery of him is quite shocking upon first seeing him. We do not get any of this, which is not a deal breaker, but it is another deviation from the source material. If the source material is the blueprint to the show, and the showrunners choose to omit these colorful nuances, it only makes the show that much blander. More cookie cutter. Anyway, Abel arises from his shallow grave, and tells the story of Cain and Abel briefly. Let me stop it once again. Yes, Cain and Abel and Gregory are part of the source material, but what is the point of them? What are they bringing to advance the plot in the story? Do you see it? I do not. They are a completely pointless interlude outside of Morpheus visiting them to uncreate Gregory. In the comic, they are integrated in the story and used as a change of pace. Gregory is the one that finds Morpheus, returning him to the dreaming, and he brings him back to the House of Secrets much to the surprise of Cain and Abel. That's right, Lucien does not find him laying on the edge of the dreaming and just so happen to find him. In the House of Secrets, Morpheus rests, and Cain and Abel nurse him back to health. It is during this time that we get to know about Cain and Abel, and Gregory does not need to be uncreated. So both these characters are minor, just like Lucien, but they sacrifice these characters even more to give Lucien more screen time and dialogue, at the expense of the source material. That is wokeness for wokeness' sake. We finally return to Morpheus walking on a narrow path accompanied by Lucien. She asks where is he going, and Morpheus says London. She makes a snide comment stating that was the place he was captured, and she quickly apologizes without any repercussions. Also, she does not ask him if he is coming back this time. Morpheus tells her that is where his pouch of sand is, and he must retrieve it. Lucien realizes she cannot change his mind, so requests a favor for him to bring a raven along with him. Morpheus flatly says no after Jessame's demise. Lucien exposits why he should have a raven, and Morpheus once again says no, stating he is Dream of the Endless. She concurs, and adds that Dream always has a raven. Morpheus says that Jessame was the last one, and turns to begin his departure. He says that Constantine is only human, and Lucien says, so was Roderick Burgess, and sarcastically comments upon his departure, what can possibly go wrong? Please excuse me for one moment.
You stupid fuck! Assholes!
Let us stop here for a moment to recover from Lucien's incessant and disloyal backtalk. Yes, she's only trying to help, and maybe Morpheus is being stubborn, but at the same time, maybe he deserves some trust from one of his subjects. In fact, why is she even following him on the path in the first place? I know, she's there so they can give us an exposition dump, while making her look like a know-it-all nanny to her boss, and eventually be proven right. How unbearable was it when your parents pestered you to clean your room because it was not clean to their standards? Now, as an adult, how unbearable is it when your parents come to your home and criticize everything you've done? Apparently, dealing with an insufferable character is a small price to pay to propagate the woke narrative. Anyway, outside the walls of the dreaming, the Corinthian reintegrates, and waiting patiently, is Lucian. How she knew he was coming back before he actually got there, who knows? She says to him, she is glad he has returned, and Morpheus will be pleased. He asks where he is, and she tells him he is away at the moment. The Corinthian walks away saying he needs to leave before his return. Lucian asks where he is going, and he replies, back to the waking world. She tells him that dreams and nightmares do not belong there, and he disagrees, telling her she should try it for herself. She asks if he has any loyalty to his creator, and the Corinthian tells her. Why? The Corinthian says Morpheus does not care about his creations, but only himself, and his realm. She warns him that Morpheus will come after him, and he accepts the threat with a threat, and leaves confidently. This concludes episode 2. Review time. One of the appeals of early Sandman was the weaving of old C and D-tiered characters from the DC universe. How he brought Wesley Dodds into the universe, and how John Dee was Dr. Destiny adds a little more flavor and backstory to the characters. I understand they cannot use these characters or Arkham Asylum due to copyrights, and that is disappointing, but I understand. Although you can't use the names, it does not mean they cannot mimic the imagery in order to convey the same mood. Yet, this was done intentionally, which I will discuss further in the next installment. Finally, Lucian. Once again, the biggest problem with the show is she continues to lecture incessantly outside of her station, and to people far older than she is. It is annoying as hell, not to mention when she questions the Corinthians' loyalty, where is hers? She constantly speaks out of place. Criticizes everything Morpheus does. Who made her queen of the dreaming? Morpheus should really just tell her.
Shut up! Shut up!
Shut the fuck up!
Just for the sake of argument, let us pretend the show cast Lucian like the comic. A white male. Do you think the showrunners would write the script the same way? If you say yes, then one must ask. Why? What is the point of changing your title character, and giving his alpha qualities to a minor character? If you are like me and say no, then it confirms the gender and race swap was done intentionally. What does that mean? It means when the script was written, the role was already intended to be a race/gender swapped character, and when it came to cast the character, a black female was the only choice on the table, rather than the best person for the role. With the characterizations changed so drastically, I have to ask myself this question. Why didn't they race swap Morpheus? Why is it okay to race/gender swap all these other characters, but not Morpheus? You might say it is because he resembles the comic book version, and he is the title character. That is true, but why are all the other characters not held to these standards? And if they cast the title character to match his appearance from the source material, why did they feel free to change his other characteristics completely? Like a fake Rolex watch, it looks real, but upon closer inspection, it is rubbish. That is the result of what wokeness has done to this show. Finally, let us assign a grade to the episode. Assuming no source material, I would give it a 5. I cannot be the only one that finds Lucian as an insufferable nanny, with her incessant and condescending exposition. Knowing the source material, it is a 3 at best. Of course, everything just mentioned applies, but the cumulative effect of witnessing Morpheus spiraling down further as an ineffectual beta male is truly aggravating. This concludes this installment. As always, many thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.